So was it Wi-Fi that changed your life?
Oh yes, Wi-Fi changed my life. In a minute, we had a router which didn't work anymore. So the man came to bring us a new router, and he said, "You will see, it will be great. It's much more powerful. You will have internet in the garden far away." We were very happy. And then he turned on the router, he turned on the Wi-Fi, and I had a shock like never before in my life. I had to run out of the house immediately. And this was like not electrocution, something unknown, really something unknown, something new. It was terrible. I shouted, "Please turn off this thing or I don't come into the house anymore." He left it like this. He turned it off and he went away. He didn't care. He just didn't care, like if nothing had happened. I remembered he said, "You have Wi-Fi 5. And before you had Wi-Fi 2, and Wi-Fi 5 is much better." So I told my husband, "Okay, let's just turn this into Wi-Fi 2 again, because I knew we could have both and everything will be okay." So we did this. We had Ethernet cables. So we put an Ethernet cable to the router, and I set it in Wi-Fi 2, and then we turned it on. But the same physical thing happened to me again. So we had to turn off. And then we realized it will not be possible with Wi-Fi anymore. By chance, we were geek for a long time, especially me. So we had all the cables and enough knowledge to wire everything and get connected in 24 hours, the time to go to the shop and buy some things. And yes, this happened in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And in a way, it was a luck, because when I have so a lot of friends tell me that they were sick and ill and in medical care for years and years before they realized it was because of Wi-Fi, wireless electricity. I didn't have this suffering with not knowing what happened to me. I could identify at once, this is Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi on, I was dead, and Wi-Fi off, I was normal. So this was a luck in a certain way. Yeah, I can say.
So were you using any other wireless technology before this incident with the Wi-Fi 5G? Were you using cell phone and everything?
Yeah. We were at that time totally wireless. Mobile phones, Bluetooth for everything. What else did we have? Some Wi-Fi cameras outside. Remote control for the dogs. Everything you can imagine. The cars, the speakers. We loved it. We just loved it. But I started with wireless at the beginning of wireless, because my studies were in the late 1980s, early 90s. I was an art student and I specialized in infography. So I bought the first available Macintosh Apple computers. And every new thing that appeared, I got it. So I was among the first to have modem, and then router, which we call box in France, and Wi-Fi. And you know what I realized? But maybe this comes later in this discussion. But anyway, I just said that I had this shock, and I became poisoned at once. But now, looking backward, I realized that I had health issues that started very specific. That started when I got my first cordless phone, before far before Wi-Fi. I remember I had this cordless phone. I was so happy to have it. I lived in Paris at that time. My best friend lived in another area, so we were hours on the phone. I was so happy. I could make my phone calls for 2 hours in my bath until the battery was dead. Having a really hot head. But I found it funny that my ears and my head got hot. I find it funny. I found it funny. And at that time became arrived also many issues, among which the biggest one was anxiety. I was okay, and then one day I started having panic attacks, anxiety, and chronic anxiety, and being treated for it. Nobody could help me. Nothing could take it away. Medication, because you take the medication and then you go to sleep. But when you wake up, it starts again, and you cannot sleep all the time. You have to live your life. So I had a life of suffering with anxiety until we stopped wireless here. And when we achieved stopping all the wireless, turning everything off, having everything wired or just off, getting rid of a lot of objects, I never had anxiety since then. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Sometimes I know that someone comes at home we live in the country, we have no neighbors, really a quiet zone. And when someone comes in the backyard with a wireless car, or with a smartphone with data on, I know it because I recognize this kind of, this feeling of anxiety that it's starting. Whoa. But now I know, I don't wonder what is making me anxious. I just wonder who just came in the courtyard. So I put my shielding clothes on, and I go out and I ask the person, please, turn this off, put it in your car, away. So, so 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, I had this issue. I had long-term, non-solvable immunity issues also. And a lot of little things that disappeared when I stopped wireless and when I managed electricity afterwards. Let me think. Acidity in the stomach, this stopped. Floaters in the eyes. Tinnitus, well, I have tinnitus. This is also a sign that someone arrived with a phone in the backyard. When my ears start not ringing, making this metallic sound. It's not. A friend of mine said, no, it's not tinnitus, and I think she's right. It's not tinnitus. It's not in the ears. It's like in the middle of the ears, inside of the brain. It's a brain noise. It's not an ear noise. What I feel, I don't know for others.
Yeah, Alan Frey did a paper many years ago, more than 40 years ago, about microwave hearing, maybe 50 years ago, and that's exactly what it is. It's an electrical phenomenon. Interesting. Yes. About the floaters. This is the first time I've heard floaters.
Oh, so, I've had floaters for a very long time. You know what it is? It's like little pieces of dust half transparent, but only half. And it's like, imagine if your eyes are an aquarium and these little things go like this. You can do nothing. And since this experience with Wi-Fi, and since I became really, really damaged and highly sensitive, I can tell when there is Wi-Fi. That doesn't work with the phones, but I can tell when there is Wi-Fi because I have some new kinds of floaters, like very tiny bubbles in my landscape. I watch, I see, and these little bubbles come and go like this, and then I say, "Oh, there is Wi-Fi in this house. I won't go in."
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it must have been quite shocking. Well, I don't mean to make a pun. It must have been quite horrifying to have that experience with the Wi-Fi, the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, because it was so immediate and so painful. But it was a huge blessing because it left no doubt in your mind what the problem was. And then it sounds like once you began to live a life without wireless radiation and got to a place that didn't have an abundance of wireless radiation, then all these things from your past began to unwind.
Yes.
And to get better. That was exactly my experience. Even the anxiety, exactly my same experience. You know, I was told I was some sort of a defective person, you know, and just this happens and take this medicine. And if it gets worse, take these. And you're right. They take away from, you know, they just make you sleepy. Like you can endure it, but it's no way to live. And then to find in the fullness of time that was caused by this reckless spread of the harmful man-made electromagnetic radiation is just, it's very instructive. I mean, we have no doubt. Nobody can argue with us whether it's better to live in an environment with wireless radiation or it's not. But it does impact life and living. Do you want to talk about that? How were you living before, and then how are you living now afterwards?
Well, by luck, I didn't have to move because we had already made the choice, not because of EMF, because of lifestyle, to have no neighbors in order to have a donkey and loud big dogs, chicken. So we didn't have to move, but it was really desocializing, because people are. I don't know if people are afraid of us or if people don't want to hear or to see that wireless is bad, or if they just are in a panic in the idea to turn off their phone. Maybe it's just the panic to turn off their phone. It happened to me one time. A man came, a worker, to work here, and he rang the bell, and my husband was not there, so I had to go all around the garden to show him trees to cut. And I told him, please, can you turn off your phone, because otherwise I won't be able to spend this hour with you. And it was a strong man, you know, like a kind of a carpenter. And he was in a panic. He was in distress, turning my phone, oh. So I said, okay, don't worry. I went home to take my shielding clothes, and this was ridiculous. We were at home, and I was shielded like to go in town because this man, it was too horrible for him to turn off his phone. Maybe he was 45, you know. This leads us to questions about, it's not only addiction, but what makes people so insecure if they turn off their things, especially the phone.
It's remarkable,
Because
isn't it?
I was not going to attack him. You know what? It's ridiculous. It was not for security. So what for? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really amazing, isn't it, that people allow themselves to, and I don't know. I don't know either. Is it the addiction portion of it? Because the devices are designed to be addictive by their nature. And even when it begins to hurt a little bit, people still can't let go, you know? Or I don't know whether it's some misplaced sense of security, as if I can't reach anyone, or anyone in the world can't reach me, in the next hour, something calamitous, something terrible is going to happen. I don't
I
know,
think
but
it's more like this. Look in the case of this man, he was not going to use his phone. We were going to walk around the garden to mark the trees he had to cut. So he was not going to look at his internet or look at a film or anything. And but he was really afraid. It was a fear. I saw him I saw it in his eyes that it was a fear, and it's a mystery. It's a mystery. But there was in my path, so there was this first day when my life changed with this Wi-Fi thing. And then I realized, okay, so I have to turn off wireless. That was easy. And now, where can I go? Where can I not go? How are we going to organize? Is it possible to go to the restaurant? No, it's too long. Is it possible for shopping? So for several months, I had my habits. I knew this shop, I can handle it to stay in this shop for maybe 10 minutes. And but 10 minutes is okay. And there, maybe 15 minutes. Last time it was not more. I had to go away. And I had bought this little ridiculous beanie. I thought to be protected with this. And I sew myself sleeveless long t-shirt. And life was like this, avoiding exposure, admitting exposure. And one day I went shopping in a sort of a big shopping center. Every time I went there, the past month, it was okay. But that time, it was overcrowded. Maybe I was weaker and weaker, maybe also. And I had really a health issue inside. I couldn't find how to go out of there because I was totally disoriented. I couldn't, it was a square, the square shopping centers, and the doors are on one side. I was so stupid. I couldn't find the doors. So this was really a panic, and I was sweating and my vision got blurred. I finally found out how to go out. I went in the car, and then I fainted. My husband had to lead me to the hospital. And there I made an encounter. Sometimes in life, you are meant to encounter someone. You don't even know the name of the person. This person will leave you with 1 or 2 sentences or 5 minutes of talk, and it will change your life forever. And you will never find the person to thank her. And there, the nurse first, the first nurse didn't want to take care of me. Then another one said, yes, she stays here. We take care of her. And I was afraid that they would think I'm crazy and would transport me to psychiatry, because I couldn't speak clearly and I couldn't think clearly, but I knew I was in danger of this. And I kept asking, do you believe me? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you believe this wireless dangers? So the second nurse, she was great. She said, I believe you. I know it's true. These people know because they're not bureau doctors. They handle people. They take care of people every day. And she said, I know it's true because once we had to cure one woman in her car because she couldn't even enter the hospital. And then the young woman doctor came like an angel. She came. She said, all your results are okay, except your pulse is too quick, too fast. Your blood pressure is not good, but this is because of radiation. Don't worry. When you go home, it will be okay. There is nothing to do. There is no cure. There is no other solution than to never expose yourself again to radiation. And this was the second, the second turn, the end of this big turn. And it was the second shock because I thought, okay, so now this is very serious. It's a lifelong condition. I have to really document myself. I have to find out how to never expose again, because this means I can't go shopping. I can't go 5 minutes to friends. She said never, so it's never. And so then it was the end of the first part of my life and the beginning of my actual life. I spent a lot of time, hours and hours in maybe the 2 first weeks, trying to search documentation first on how to protect myself. And also, what is it, this radiation thing? Why is it harmful? What's happening in the world? Why did I not know it before? I've been using this. I've been poisoning me and accumulating exposition. Probably that was not good. It led me to this point. Yeah, so this was the real, it was maybe 5 months between the two events. And, now I'm in another life, and it was not very long ago, it was 3 years ago, but I can't even imagine now. I can't remember. I can't have the memory and feeling to go in, even in thoughts, in my past life, my wireless life. I don't long for it. I know a lot of friends long for their past life. I do not long for it. Sometimes people say, "Oh, and what if you are cured?" I say that there's no cure, but okay, if you don't feel radiation anymore, what will you change? And I answer, nothing.
Right.
I will change
Exactly.
nothing, because now that I learned what I learned about radiation, and now that I felt it inside of my body physically, I do never want to expose myself any longer to this thing. It's poison. It's poison.
So was it a blessing or a curse in your life when you got your Wi-Fi upgraded to 5 gigahertz and it changed your life forever? Was that a blessing or a curse?
Maybe this will shock some people, but it was 100% blessing. It makes my life really complicated, but it was 100% blessing, because I always prefer to know than to not know or pretend I don't know. I prefer things to be clear. And I'm angry for all these years not to have known that poison is poison. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't, if the magician came out of the lamp and I could make a wish, I wouldn't ask him to give me my previous life back. Never. Never.
Yeah. Yep, I feel the same way, and I've yet to talk to somebody who has taken it seriously. Do you know what I mean by that? Like somebody who has done what you have done, and they've made sure that they're able to maintain an environment that's without this type of radiation and other synthetic forms of radiation, and then would say, no, this is a bad thing. I just haven't met that person yet. And it does surprise people, I think, because it has become normalized. You know, I'm still thinking about this big, strong 45-year-old carpenter that's brought to his knees in fear because he can't turn his cell phone off for an hour. You know, what an amazing way to control people, and it's sad. Many people just don't realize that we're electrical beings, and all the synthetic electrical forms are interfering with that, down to the memory, issue that you expressed when you were in the shopping mall and had to go to the hospital, and the directional confusion, which way to get out of here. I've heard these things many times. It's just it seems so clearly just a way of interrupting the function of the body on a number of different levels, including the anxiety. Oh, yeah, I share.
But sometimes I think, or maybe I wish that there will be an electricity issue. No electricity for maybe 3 months, which would cause a lot of problems. I know, but maybe we would attend tons of miracles. I am sure. I think if there was no electricity long enough for all batteries to be empty and all tanks of the cars to be empty, just black out, this could save humanity, maybe, curing so many people who would realize they sleep correctly, they don't need their sleeping pills, pains vanishing, and also human relations might be easier. For children, maybe children would be easier to manage too, because it's now it's an easy way parents often take to put the children in front of a screen with a with a toy or a screen, tablet, TV. But I'm not sure it calms the children. It hypnotizes them maybe a little, but what will it lead to in you and I and our generations? We weren't exposed that much when we were in the wombs of our mothers. When we grew up, we were exposed to dirty electricity, of course, but maybe less. I don't know. It's difficult to know. But there was very little wireless. We had maybe talkie-walkies sometimes to play with, and that's it. And now the quantity of radiation I feel in my body is enormous. When I think, what I feel now, this goes into the little fragile bodies of the babies. how is it possible to do this without damage? What will happen to them? What will happen when they will want to make children? How will their adult life be? How will their children live? But this is very serious because usually people I know they think that I have a problem. They are sorry for me. But immediately they tell me, when I try to educate them a little, like, please try turn off your Wi-Fi at night. It would be better. And they say, don't worry for me. I'm okay. I don't feel anything. I don't feel it. I have no problem. Just be reassured. And it's no use telling them I was exactly like you say you are the eve of this new router. The day before this new router came home, I would have said the same, and it happened to me in 1 minute. But I think as long as they can bear it, even if they have headaches, sleep problems, as long as it's not debilitating, they will continue. And I was the same.
Yes, I feel just as you do that it is very difficult for people with an addiction, any type of an addiction, to admit, even in the slightest way, that their heroin problem might be bad, or their cocaine problem might be harming their health, or in this case, the obvious addiction to, all the tech. And so I think at some profound level, they just can't admit that. I can't help wondering too whether if we were able to set up challenge facilities worldwide where people could go for a couple of days or a week and live just at least for that time without any synthetic EMF exposure, how much that might reveal to people. They're suddenly able to think clearly. They're suddenly able to sleep. Their heart is beating properly. Their memory is coming.
Well, I think many would feel the difference. And why I think this, my husband is not at all sensitive to radiation. He can't tell you if there is Wi-Fi, or he has a cell phone. He uses it when he's out of home. But because of my condition, we stopped wireless totally at home, and we sleep in a canopy to sleep with a really zero EMF. And he would never go back. I asked him, if we separate one day, would you immediately turn on the Wi-Fi and get rid of the canopy? And he told me, even if I had to live alone or without you, never again I will turn on a Wi-Fi, because I feel so much better without the Wi-Fi. And all my life I will sleep in a canopy because it's better sleep. And he had health benefits. He doesn't have the suffering at all, but deprived of radiation, he has such benefits that he's very positive about stopping it.
Yeah, my situation with my wife is similar in that she would say she's not electrically sensitive. She would maintain that, but she's often the first one to get sick when we go into town.
Yeah.
Or what I do for a living? I go into people's homes and help them with some pretty terrible electromagnetic environments. So it's interesting to be able to go into the sort of lion's den like that. But sometimes, very often, she'll get sick before I will. and yet she's not sensitive. But yeah, I think people could learn so much by just having.
There's two different things: getting sick and being sensitive. You can get very sick, not sensing anything, but actually get sick. And this is probably the case of many, many people. I think we have to reach these people now. We have to bring awareness to general population, about, maybe, synthetic EMF is the cause of a lot of disorders you suffer. Just, why not have a look? And there's the facility challenge. How did you say? Challenge
EMF,
facility?
Yeah, challenge facility.
So, I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from it and would be shocked maybe of their experience if they stay long enough.
If you could wave a magic wand and do one thing, would it be to protect the babies?
My first magic wand, my first magic wish would be the world ban of EMF and stopping the use of AC. This is my wish, my first wish. If it can be fulfilled, then yes, protect the babies, because it's the most important. We getting poisoned. We started to search information, to read the science, and we know things that people don't know. And I think it's our responsibility to warn others. It's like if your house is on fire, you live in a building, you wake up at night and you smell the smoke. You think, oh my God, the house is on fire. What do you do? Do you scream, sound the alarm as loud as possible? Or do you wait for the other people to smell it too and wait until they will wake up because their feet burning? We have to, it's our responsibility to warn others, to spread what we know, which is not made public generally in the general media they read. We have a real responsibility because of this poisoning that led us to know how bad it is and how dangerous it is. And the biggest concern is for the next generations, because we know it damages DNA. And this is the biggest concern. All humans are responsible of a little part of humanity, and we all have to do everything what's in our possibilities to save humanity. We have to let the planet. We have to let the general DNA library, for the future generations. We have to preserve this. We have to do everything possible to save what is possible to be saved. We don't know. Maybe it's too late. I know it's not optimistic, but how can we know if it's yet too late or not?
Yeah, you and I are old enough that we remember a world that wasn't crazy with the reckless spread of RF radiation in particular. So I have memories of what it felt like to be at peace and walking through cities and spending hours in bookstores and, all of these
Exactly.
wonderful times. And now all of those places I used to go and things that I used to love to do, they're poison. No. So I'm getting more resilient and I'm getting less sensitive by being in a shielded environment. But I remember the difference, and the children being born now, they'll never have, unless their parents take drastic action, they won't have that memory, as they move forward.
They
So
won't
that's,
even experience one day without this.
yeah. And so even now, people my age look to the left and they look to the right and they say, nobody can sleep well. Everybody has brain fog. What are you talking about? How much more so in another generation or two will that be the case, is to just accept it being very normal that people have this anxiety disorder, this chronic fatigue, this cognitive decline, and etc. What?
Coming to anxiety, and going back to the carpenter, he had with him his cell phone with mobile data on. He has this all the time. Probably this gives him some amount of anxiety. And this is maybe why he would be afraid to turn it off. Because maybe it cultivates anxiety, and so it makes you anxious about turning off your device, or about a lot of things, a lot of other things.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if we could protect babies, the best way to do that, because they're undergoing development, is while they're still in the womb. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So I posted...
It's pregnant mothers. But look, now we see smartphone apps developed especially for pregnancy.
Yeah.
So who can we reach for this to stop? But we're in a world where for pregnancy safety, you have to have an app always on your hand. I don't know, and I don't know how to start with this problem.
Well, there's two problems as I see it. One is advocacy, or trying to reach people who are not aware. And then the other problem is, and I don't do enough there, because I'm completely busy with the second priority, which is people who know it's a problem and they want to get their house checked out. They want to learn how they can reduce their exposure. So I have more than enough to do just trying to help those people. And I wish it could be everybody. But very frankly, we don't have enough EMF consultants in the United States or anywhere in the world, I don't believe, to handle even, 10% of the population becoming aware. And yet we need to get these skills out there, because if people were ever to get the idea, I want to try to eliminate this harmful radiation from my life, I think it's accurate to say they wouldn't know how to do that without bringing in a professional to show them, in one afternoon what they could do. Finding the valid information on the internet or typical places that people would look, it's very difficult to put together everything that you need to do to be safe. But thinking about the children, a couple of days ago, I posted one of your graphics, and you mentioned early in this discussion that your education was in graphic design. Did you say infography?
Yeah.
Information photography, is it?
No. Graphic with computer.
Okay, got you.
Not painting, not drawing on paper, but computer graphics.
Okay,
In France, we call this infographie.
okay.
So I translated it like this. Yes, I had this 1 year class for 3D 3D animation, and I didn't like it. Animation, and especially at that time, you couldn't work by your own because the computers were so expensive that you had to enter a firm, and I wanted to be by my own. So I bought this first Apple, and started to do a regular graphic job. Then I was for 20 or 22 years a teacher in school, the art teacher in school. But I never stopped practicing graphic design. I learned web design. I just love it. I always was a geek, and I wanted to, when I saw friends having websites, I wanted my website. So I always continued with graphic. And about this emergency to take responsibility and to spread information, naturally, I came to making a website and making images, designing information, because this is what I know how to do the best. This is my skill. So I started this. I started first. I was on Facebook support groups, so I made a few images, and then I reunited them in a website. This is how I started with this website, Rosalito, where I have images for public education. I make them so that they are very simple, with one theme on the image, a few words, big contrast, because I think people are scrolling. I would like them to reach people who are scrolling, not people who are already searching for documentation, because there is a lot of documentation really better than what I could do. What I can bring maybe is, okay, let's reach the people who will never search for documentation by themselves, by just an image can print into their head, and like a little seed, and grow after, or I don't know, can trigger concern, beginning of awareness, And on this website also, I have some pages where I share my experience of shielding, because since this doctor told me never expose yourself again, I went as far as I could in shielding work. I didn't need to shield my house, but I needed to shield my body in order to be able to walk around. I don't often go out because I could. Now I have a whole shielding suit, which is not beautiful. I don't want it beautiful because I hate to wear it. I think I'm very happy to have this suit because they make me able to drive when necessary. They may make me able to go for shopping when necessary. But it's such a misery to have to wear this. This is not the life I want. And it's just spoils the joy to go out. I don't want to go to the movies or to go, I don't know, on a trek or just walking around, going to, like I used to do before, going to libraries or bookstores and spend hours in bookstores with this awful thing. And I don't want to make it nice because I think that for me, I understand that some people want to look nice. I don't care about my look. And I really don't want to make it nice because it's the first step for acceptation that it is normal. If I make it cool, agreeable, I don't know, chic, sport, special, great look, there's a danger that it can become normal to wear this. Okay. Those who have a problem, they just have to imprison themselves in these metallic outfits, and the others can continue wireless with no asking questions more about the danger. So, but shielding suits, they work. When they are properly done, they work. I achieve no more than 3 microwatts in my hat in town, with some exceptions for some tiny peaks, seldom of 10 microwatts, which is a good performance, I think. And for my safety, it lets me safe. I have no symptoms when I come back home. But this is just not admittable to continue like this. And it doesn't have to become widespread, I think.
Yeah,
because if 10% of the population need this, then Adidas, Nike is going to provide them shielding suits. What will happen? Or maybe Prada or Hermes, and it will become normal. And so the problem with the radiation will never be fixed.
Tell people why you need protection over the entire body. How come you can't just buy a shirt that's shielded or a hat that's shielded and that be good enough? Did you have any success with trying partial shielding?
Yeah. If I take off one glove, I start to feel bad. I have a whole outfit, including the head. I will send you a photo of the latest one. Face shield with stainless steel mesh, gloves, socks and over socks, and this whole you will have the image. If there's a part of my body free on air, not shielded, the suffering comes maybe slower than if I just walk with normal outfit, but it has to be no leak, because I can't say that it's a Faraday clothing because it's not grounded. But the principle of the Faraday cage is that it works if it has no leaks. It's a cube made of I don't know, fabric, mesh, foil, what you want. But if there's a hole, it doesn't work. It's like the image of a submarine. If you want to go under the water and not be wet, you cannot have a hole in your suit. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Or it's like, maybe like fire. Could people consider, safe for firemen to go into the fires, with their face in open air, with nothing on their face, saying, okay, their brain is covered, their heart is covered, it's okay, they can go. No, it doesn't work like this. Maybe the image of the fire is even more accurate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Certain things are normal in our society right now, and one is fighting fires. As we have fewer of them than we did in the past. But when there's a house burning and firefighters need to go in, I used to work closely with a lot of firefighters, and they would do competition and see who could suit up the fastest. And they have gloves, they have turnouts for the top, their pants, their boots, their helmet, and their breathing respiration, and a tank of air on their back, and it is complete protection. And you're right, they can't go in with anything uncovered, and yet,
and they wouldn't use even a glove with a hole.
Right, and yet they don't wear that to the movies.
No,
right?
No, but for us, most of the earth is now on fire.
Yeah, and it's just getting people to be aware of it, from an advocacy perspective, and then from a perspective of people like you and I who have become aware that it's a life priority to get to the lowest levels possible. They need to know what safe ground looks like and how to ascertain that, and there are sacrifices that may be required from a career standpoint or family connections or your preference of living in a big city. But if you want the lowest radiation levels possible, you're going to need to find that little wrinkle in the earth where there's not a lot of RF, because it can't, can't be there.
But coming to relations, we all lost a lot of people. We all lost, I think you too, we all, from our ancient life, we all lost a lot of contact, of relations. But the ones we kept are wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell people where they can see your graphic design work that promotes awareness on this.
I have a website, which is Rosalito, ROSALITO .art, which where there is my graphics, and also sharing of shielding clothes and solutions, and 2 pages of quick advice for the new suffering people. 1 page about how to quick turn off every wireless device and stay connected, because this is very important to always tell people you can be fully connected with no radiation. People very often tell me, you can't have wireless, so you can't access internet.
Right.
And then I say, yes, I'm a web designer. A lot of people don't know, because they're too young or have forgotten, that wired connection are safer, quicker, more stable. And 1 page to put oneself in security very quick with electricity. The first things to do in emergency, and of course it's not complete. It's a quick read and quick things to do. In waiting to learn more and to organize life. And also I have social media. also Rosalito. But on my website, if you search social media, you have links on the website, on the bottom of every page. I'm mostly on Facebook, French and English speaking support groups. I have a Twitter account, Instagram. Nobody ever watched my Instagram. I don't know. I continue feeling it. You know, when I started these graphics, it was like preaching in the desert. Only radiation suffering people were interested. So I didn't discourage. I thought, okay, let's continue. Now I speak to people who already know about what I'm saying, but I'm going to fill this website with images for scrolling people. Because one day when we will need them, the stock will be here. So this is my work now. I'm mostly filling my website with a stock of images about the dangers of radiation for pregnancy, for people, about burnout, about all these themes. And also a lot of people, I think, I don't have numbers, a lot of people suffer radiation and are ashamed to come out about this. And I know this because when I go shielded in town, people see me, and often people come to me, and it's like talking to a priest, you know, very low voice. I suffer Wi-Fi too. I never told anybody. I don't know how to tell my husband. There's nothing to do about it. And I even know a couple, young couple, both suffer radiation. I know it because I recognize their what they say about their symptoms and I know. But eventually they would talk one by one with me for advice, but they are not ready to tell each other.
Interesting. Yeah.
People in their 30s. And there's a taboo. And that's why also I try to make images, colorful, cool images, modern look, so that it doesn't look old-fashioned to be radiation poisoned. It can be something happening also to young, normal, cool people.
Well, I'm glad we were able to finally do this interview, and let's not let it be another year. Hopefully. I just want to thank you for having a heart to help people and serving them in a very unique way through your artwork. And I think it's lovely. I'm excited to have my very first guest designed their own thumbnail for the video, and I think it looks marvelous. So thank you for the interview, and thank you for everything that you're doing to help people.
Well, thank you, Keith, for receiving me, and really my pleasure, and I am honored to have made this interview with you.
The EMF Remedy podcast is a project of EMF Remedy, LLC. We'd like to be your trusted guide for achieving a better EMF environment in your home. The contents on this podcast are provided for informational purposes only and are not intended to substitute for the advice provided by your doctor or other healthcare professional. It is not intended to be, nor does it constitute healthcare or medical advice. Opinions of guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the EMF Remedy podcast.